hoping that people can pick up the immediacy of the work, which will be its emotional presence, some of it having big emblematic shapes, and the refined finish of the work. They're extremes. So I hope they can pull those kind of contradictory relationship together to understand what I've always been working on, and that is the raw and the refined. It's called also la cuit and la crue, which is cooked and raw. And the worst thing with this is that it's totally demanding. You can't make a mistake with the cutting. If you make a mistake with the cutting, because it's all out of one piece, but this will be, in its large scale, will be a triptych. But even still, one piece, mistake with one of the cuts, you can't repair it. It's very unforgiving. This is a maquette process. This is doing it on a small scale to see how it's going to work when it's larger. I mean, they're so much more demanding than this, and they have to be, the calculations of cuts per square meterage have to be correct. The thicker cuts do different things than thinner cuts. The length of a cut in relation to its thickness will determine the outcome. So I just have to know how it's going to work. You can build on them, you can sort of develop them. And this is where I explore movement and light and shadow. They're demanding. I have to be really focused. Doing the cutting and then doing the designing, there's sort of resistance in me, because that is the hard work. It's different from painting and each day watching it grow and being able to change it as you go along. You can't really change these once you've decided on their particular image. So they have to be then executed sort of perfectly. Once I've done the maquette, I will order the chassis and the frame for the big one, and that has to be ordered to measure. There's quite a lot of time. It will take roughly a month to complete a large piece. And the canvas has to be prepared much more than normal canvas, because these ribbons or slices will have to withstand temperature change, which means there are various glue processes to treat the canvas with so that it doesn't stretch or shrink. Just making sure all the bands are equidistant from each other and that the evenness of the optics is working.
Hello, you made it.
Hi Don, how's it going?
Slowly, but I'm getting there.
Good.
Yeah. Discuss an idea that she's got in her head, and I say, all right, then I'll have a go and I'll try and make something at home and see if it works. And then I bring the little sample back and we discuss and move on. You know, all right then, yeah, I can do this, I can't do this. Most of the time my determination in my own self makes me want to do it anyway and have a go at it.
We're doing now the back pieces, the shadows, right?
Setting up the machine to cut the circles out. I'm going to have
And as I mentioned, I think we should arras or chamfer the edges so that the edges disappear and it becomes... Do you think that's a good idea? Or do you think that if they turn 90 degrees, it's better?
I think it will soften what you're trying to achieve with the shadow. Well, I'll cut the main circle out. And
Well, we've got circles here. We can sit those under the pieces upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Some glasses of water.
And so I just picked up some paper, and I think Don was in the studio at that time, and bent it, and then I painted it and pinned it to the wall, and it grew from there. I could see those in a bigger sequential form. And what we have here is 16.
It finishes up with 18, but it's actually
It's 18, and I really, really like that aspect of it, where there is some sense of body to the form. So it's not just about form, it has body and it has weight as well. So they become very sculptural and very object-like, and that was important in this series. And Don's achieved that through an extraordinary crafting system. This is really about understanding timber. These won't even look like timber when they're finished. Everybody asks what they are, you know. They look like they've probably sort of come out of a plastic mould.
Yeah, this is the first one. It was made in the same mould as this one, but when I took it out too early and been in the garage, it's gone...
It's still,
That's a natural curve.
Oh, actually, though, we can't really see them fully like this because we need to see, that's right, they're shadow bases. We've got gloss on bigger ones, and this doesn't want to be gloss. This has to be blackboard paint.
When I actually sand it to take the sheen off, I'll do it with a stroke.
I quite like that brushed finish, so that it disappears. Now, we've got 3 days for that. And you can take this to my studio and work there.
Yeah. Right. Okay, I'll see what I can do. Should come out exactly how you want them.
Well, I think they're beautifully crafted. And a cryptologist's memoir is about archaeologists coming to this site in thousands of years' time, hundreds of years' time, let's say. Maybe, you know, it sort of doesn't exist. And they're discovering artworks, they're discovering language, they're discovering things that we're doing on the computer now. But it's also historic, that it doesn't have any meaning anymore, but they have to kind of unravel the meaning. They have to sort of search through and lock things, key things in place and find what we were thinking now in 500 years' time. So the books are about that. The seed idea came when I was working with layers of paper and I was creating sculptural forms with layers of paper. I started cutting it then, but I was cutting the outer form and peeling them over to reveal the red of the underside, and I was creating images in that way. It seemed to me that books were like vessels and they held secrets inside them that could only be deciphered when you read them. And so they were vessels, carry meaning, and there are vessels that have meaning and are of meaning. To me, they were also, at that point, they began to suggest could be used as the basis for an artwork. Inside of them, I could trap a new layer of meaning, a new language that I was creating, that I want to create. There's little motifs that have to resonate in a very succinct way as being kind of a letter, but it's not a letter. And it will, in some cases, relate to the book because the symbol has to just resonate in a way that has a simplicity to it. And yet it also is complete. When I do the waxing, I can re-sculpt this internal shape and get some depth in there so I can create sort of gutters. So that's got to be a balance between beautiful books that aren't valuable, interesting books, and nothing too historically significant. It's the textbook of botany, edition for India, Pakistan and Ceylon. Isn't that interesting? I couldn't possibly cut these up. Oh, they're just beautiful. They're very damaged. No, it's too new, too fresh. No feeling of history, even though it's about history. What about this one? The scallop used in art and architecture. This is pretty interesting. Views of Attica, Greek history. Kind of cheap old paper that yellowed. And it's got cloth bound, the right category. I've really always wanted to be an artist. Since very young. I mean, I started kind of making my own clothes and creating and cutting, just even as a little girl. It's just the most interesting thing to do is to work with materials, to develop a kind of an idea and to be able to manifest it. Manifesting your ideas is the most exciting thing. Seeing them become real and seeing them take shape, take form, and then seeing them in situ, in various sites, whether it be a public space or a gallery.